Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you're all doing great. I was over on a weekend vacation in Wisconsin. Had some things planned, but the Hubbers doesn't feel good, so just stayed in at the hotel. And so I got some extra time, so I'm gonna do a little reading from here, but I don't have any cute setups, so you're gonna have to have my pillow of the month here, the Squishmallow, which is Voody. That's her name, Voody. Um, I got her at Walmart. She's a Squishmallow. She's very comfortable. After my rotator cuff surgery, I had to keep my arm out at a 30-degree angle, and so I didn't like the splint I had to use. I ended up grabbing one of my kids as Squishmallows because it just felt better. So then I started really liking sleeping with a Squishmallow under that arm. It just helps. I'm almost a year out of the surgery, and it still feels really weird if I sleep wrong on it. So keeping a Squishmallow there is great, and she is going to provide something real cute here in the background rather than the frosted glass of the desk here. So by the time this uploads, I'll be back home. I don't ever say when I'm not at home. I'm just one of those people. So this will be, I'll probably have this set to release probably Monday or Tuesday and a weekday. I've got my blackberry tea. And I was going to make some hot tea, but I forgot. So I went to do episode 19. I had these with me because on my way out of town, I stopped at the courthouse to make sure that I still had everything that there is to know about 7M to this point, and I do. I have it all. You guys have seen it all in my binders, my Betty binders. I just have broken it all up into, so it'll be about hour episodes, and I can break it down into layman's terms. I've spent hours and hours taking the material, looking at it, seeing what's going to flow right, etc., etc. So I hope that it's flowing well. As you guys are listening to these episodes, I hope that it's putting the story together in ways that are easier to understand than the way that it was coming out because of all of the back and forth of what was going on between the attorneys and Katie Joy's ever famous way of trying to twist the facts and the truth, and her lies intermixed. I would like to say that she omits a lot, but the omissions are beyond omissions. It's more than just leaving things out. It is acting like things are not there, like she doesn't know why, but she knows why. She knows why that deposition wasn't there. She knows that there was a protective order granted because of what her mouth did, and her behavior showed what she was going to do with the deposition. So she knows. But if she spins it in a way that they haven't done it, they haven't been doing what they're supposed to, how are you supposed to know otherwise? The other side is smart enough to not fan the flames. They're just going to sit back and wait and let her continue to show her reckless nature. And they're going to get a fat paycheck, and it may bankrupt her. It's that bad. That's what's at stake here. Now I've noticed a trend, and she's doing it really aggressively right now. Whenever she is backed up against a wall, whenever she feels like there's a pause in the atmosphere, something where somebody might have time to look at her and say, what are you really doing? Why are you making a career out of hate watching people and just despising women with children and people who are proud of their marriage and their dedication to their higher power? Why do you do this? She'll start Duggar, 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 Duggar. Duggar. Did you know what the Duggars did? Did you see what the Duggars did? Did you know about Josh Duggar? Did you know what they found on his computer? Oh, what about Anna Duggar? Oh, what about, did you see what she gave for a shower present? Oh, what about their book? What about the Duggars? Hey, what about the Duggars? Duggar. She pads herself with Duggar material. And it's pretty obvious. I don't think that I'm alone in seeing what she's doing. And I, in my crystal ball, which I don't have one here, I don't even have my little LED Dollar Tree one because I was not planning on doing this, I wouldn't be surprised if the Duggars do step up and file litigation to at least stop her from saying some of the things she does. We all know that it is not within their belief system to take somebody on like that, but it's gotten to the point where if they don't, she is going to continue to affect their legacy and their empire that they have worked hard on, because it's important to her to have everybody feel as miserable as she does. People who are happy do not sit there and hate watch and make content out of hate. It doesn't make sense. It shows a very angry, bitter person who's not getting any younger, whose child is still waiting for her to come out and have fun, whose husband is waiting for her to reopen that marital bed because she has her son serving as a sacrificial lamb to their marriage, physically being there so that he can't be in bed with her. So she makes content out of other people's marriages that may have intimacy, may have trusting, and intimacy isn't about the act of it. When she was talking about how she fornicated and her husband fornicated and all they fornicated before marriage and they fornicated and everything, she really cheapened it. There doesn't have to be the act of fornication for intimacy, and she is somehow lost in that. It seems that she goes for the people who are happy and who would be mentors in the community to other women, and that women that are well engaged with their children in everything that they do. And she's gotten called out about it. So she starts making posts like the one where, her husband had a stomach ache, 2 words she wrote. So what did she do? Oh, then she got to be with her best friend and she got to sit down and do what she loves to do. And her hands will never hurt her child. Her hands will always have warmth and nurture with them. You're going, what are you doing? The old thing, she doth protest too much. She's overdoing it. Those of us who are mothers and have been mothers, and you don't have to give birth to be a mother. You can be a mother as a teacher. You can be a mother as a daycare provider. You can be a mother as a foster mother. You can be a mother as a sister. I'm not saying that you have to give birth to be a mother. There are a lot of mothers to children that just mother, and it doesn't have to be something that they have to go and announce on social media. She lacks that. She lacks that nurturing capability. So when she does do something, she wants credit. She wants to announce it. She wants it to be like, oh, good job. You did something today. Well, you know what? The Duggars do that every day. The Duggars do that in their sleep. That, the Duggars are known as midwives in their community because they gave birth so many times. The mom did that. She's also a midwife, and many of the daughters are assist her. I've seen that, and that's kind of the way that women were in society, before there was social media and whatnot. Ireland and Scotland, the women of the community would be the ones that knew how to essentially go from motherhood to nursing and caretaking, and that crossed over into helping with childbirth. That was just something that was naturally done in our world where we're so separated from each other. It doesn't happen as much, and you just see that Katie Joy has no capability of going from one to the other, interloping one skill to another. Could you imagine her assisting somebody in childbirth? Could you imagine her caring for a child who isn't hers? We don't see her in the mother and wife role. She sits there and criticizes mothers and wives. When you go out and you want to make a career, make $1 million on criticizing other mothers, other women, other wives, you better be the best example of it, because every time you point out, how many fingers come back at you? It's time that people are starting to look back at her and be like, why are you criticizing? Why are you always hashing on? Why are you essentially a female misogynist? A misogynist, is a man who just despises women. But a Katie Joy is a woman who despises women, and I don't know that we have a word for that other than a female misogynist. So you're going to see her defer to Duggar here, because her attorney can't get her to stop. Her attorney probably has told her that you need to reel it in and maybe talk about a different topic other than those that you do, because you're setting yourself up to get yet another lawsuit, and it's taking a lot of time to do this lawsuit, and you barely survived the last lawsuits. If Chris Chrisley wouldn't have been facing incarceration, how far would he have taken it? I could see Chris Chrisley taking it all the way with Katie Joy. I could see the two of them and their narcissist selves really facing off. Tati, that lawsuit stopped because of jurisdiction, but Katie Joy had to take down her content about her and whatnot. So you say, oh, okay, Katie Joy wants to say that she won and everything, and that wasn't a win. That was a settlement. There's a difference. Just as OJ was not proven not guilty, he was proven not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. He wasn't proven innocent. There's all kinds of little idiosyncrasies within the legal world, and Katie Joy is each person that has filed suit against her has paved the way for 7M to do what they're doing. Now, anybody who comes after 7M is going to have a really easy case, and that's where we see the conversation threads really going to the Duggars. The Duggars or the sister wives will probably be the next ones who will file suit against her. Now, I think that a lot of people are, again, under the assumption that something's going to happen on October 3rd, when that was that next phone conference scheduled by the judge. And, I was there at that hearing. I know what that next phone call is going to be. It could have been another hearing, but her attorney asked if they could just do this by phone because, it's just so difficult for her to drive and everything. And her attorney is so far behind on everything that her attorney was going to have this kind of regroup and certification on this phone call to say that, yes, indeed, she is caught back up. She understands the trajectory of the next steps of the lawsuit, and that will give 7M's attorney, Amber Stavig, the ability to say, okay, yeah, you're here and this is where I'm at. And then the two will go forth and schedule an outline where they both agree that to even look at a trial date is about a year out from where they were. So that's all that's going to happen. It's very slow, and she knows this. She is playing the long game. She gets so much content, so much money out of her content by doing this, that then when she has to pay, it's just a little bit. You know, she makes $100, has to pay out $8. Okay, she's had 92. That's what we're looking at, and that she gets so many views and so much attention for what she does with her lies, that then to pay a penalty for those lies is very small. 7M is on point to change that and to set a mark financially that could really, really devastate her. She is probably under the impression that her insurance will pay out, and that's maybe why she is acting like she's not worried. She's so cocky. She figures that's what she has insurance for, but her insurance will fight the payment most likely and say they would cover her doing certain content within the realm of what journalism is and this and that, but her insurance company would probably essentially sue her back and say no, that they are not responsible to pay this amount because she went outside of the bounds of what she was insured for. So a lot of moving pieces there. And we are here on part 19. Like I said, I have everything that's there, so I'm all caught up. And so I'll just keep giving you the parts, and so you will know exactly what's out there. But I have it all. Don't worry. It'll just be in pieces, and then I have the other paperwork from all of the other cases that have been filed against her as well. And then I think that what would be beneficial is for me to review the cases that are referenced here in LexisNexis, so that we can see the way that other judges have seen some of the cases that are cited, so we can kind of see how we can determine if the judge is going to say, okay, yeah, that case makes sense here, and I would rule similar to what they did based on this, or this case is not a good one to reference because this factor isn't here, this element of the case is not here, therefore I do not see this or that. I pulled aside some of that from last week, and there is some more in here of that. Now again, you're going to see this up here because these are copies of what was refiled, and these are aspects of the case that were filed and then refiled. So you're going to see a couple of different dates, just because when her attorney puts together something, she needs to make sure that she's attaching this, and this. And when 7M's attorney does something, they do the same thing. So that's where a lot of the paperwork, I have to make sure that I'm not doing anything that has already been covered. Shush. Not you. He has a man cold over there. He has cold medicine. So if you hear him just talking at me, he's just talking in his sleep. He's talking in his sleep. But he understands what I'm doing here. So we have right here in the state of Minnesota, County of Wright, in the District Court, 10th Judicial District, in a civil case, we have 7M Incorporated, Robert Shin, Miranda Derrick, and James Derrick as our plaintiffs. And they are against Catherine Mansky Paulson, a.k.a. Katie Joy, and Without a Crystal Ball, LLC. And this is indeed the affidavit of Robert Shin. Now, Robert Shin does this affidavit from the state of California in the county of Los Angeles. And it says here, the undersigned, being first duly sworn, deposes and states as follows. I submit this affidavit in support of plaintiff's motion for default judgment. I am personally familiar with the matters discussed in this affidavit. If called as a witness, I would competently testify about the matters discussed in this affidavit. In 2020, I started 7M Films as a talent management company to assist artists and content creators by handling the business side of their social media presence so they could focus on the creativity that has made them popular. I am the CEO and owner of 7M Films Incorporated. The statements made by defendants as outlined in the complaint as they relate to myself and plaintiff 7M Films Incorporated are categorically false. Neither plaintiff 7M Films Incorporated nor myself are associated with a cult. The defendants' statements and social media posts have caused multiple dancers to leave plaintiff 7M Films Incorporated. Defendants' statements and posts have damaged plaintiff 7M's Film Incorporated's business reputation in the industry as well as our public reputation. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have resulted in a decrease in new business opportunities for 7M Films Incorporated. Defendants' statements and posts have caused plaintiff 7M Films to suffer pecuniary damages. I'm doing this word again wrong. Pecuniary. Pecuniary. Pecuniary damages. I will look. That word is giving me trouble, so I will look it up and see if I can understand the context of it a little better. And maybe that will make me not stumble over it. I apologize. Attached as Exhibit A is a table of plaintiff 7M Films Incorporated estimated pecuniary losses from the current date to the year 2042. These estimates were made by comparing 7M Films Incorporated's sales income from the 4 months prior to when defendants began making their false statements to their sales income from the 4 months after defendants began making their statements. Now, once again, Katie speaks like Bullhorn Betty. I don't know. It's something that the narcissist does. When they can talk about themselves in third person, it somehow rises. You see their whole persona rise up. And so Katie Joy, it's just her. And this is where she's came down and said, for other things, when it came down to, okay, you need to say who else works for you, who else is posting this, who's doing this, and it comes down to, it's her. So although it looks like she's not alone, when she posts this as a defendant's, because it looks like Catherine Mansky Paulson, Katie Joy, and Without a Crystal Ball, no, it's just you. It's you, Catherine Mansky Paulson. That's it. Your nickname is Katie Joy. The joy is just a made-up little thing, which is just ironic. It's almost like sarcastic for her attitude. And Without a Crystal Ball. Okay, that's what she named her channel, but it makes no sense. She didn't ever have anything in her past or whatnot, that identifies her as being, the psychic mystic with a crystal ball. I wonder if that was her original idea or not. I've heard otherwise. But maybe that will come out. Maybe they'll ask her a trial. They'll say, "How did you come up with your moniker?" And she will say, I don't know what she'll say. Now, the way that it says after defendants, that's why I feel this wording is confusing, because it sounds like there's more than one person. Because of that, I just think they should say the defendant. But who am I? Who am I to say that that doesn't sound right? I think it would go further in making her realize this is her, that she can't keep acting like there's these imaginary people around her. Like freaking Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in her living room, or whatever room that is with the brown couch. Just her home just doesn't really feel like a home. I don't know. Does she decorate for Halloween? I don't know. Does she have a voodoo? I don't think so. I just love the look of my kids when they get off the bus and they'd see that I had just decorated for Halloween or Christmas. And, generally on that first day where, they were going to see it, I'd have cookies or a good meal or something. So hopefully as they're adults, they'll associate that smell with coming in and seeing, the whimsical way that I have of decorating. I don't see her doing that. Anyway, we're going to see a table, and it breaks down this income and whatnot. And I think this is kind of interesting too, the way that Robert Shin talks about how he did this so that dancers can focus on that. And I think that that's important. I think that people are good in certain things. So, if you're really busy and your craft is doing this dancing and whatnot, and you want to get gigs and you want a business manager and you want somebody to market you, why not? And that's where Shin came in and said, I'm good at marketing. I'm good at the social media thing. I'm good at promoting and marketing. So you do this, I'll do this. You make this much, I'll make this much. And this is my legacy. And he has this in his income and the projected income. Now, the thing that I'm wondering about is, how are they going to say that that income was not affected by the pandemic? Because that's very much a factor within here. Anywho, what we say here is that Plaintiff 7M Films has calculated that from the year 2022 to 2042, it will lose approximately $4,724,641 from dancers who have quit working from the company. That's a significant number, okay? So he's saying that right there, the projected amount, and I don't know if these dancers had, 20-year contracts, because how do you, and maybe that will come, maybe they'll argue that. They'll say, you don't know if this dancer would have, broken a knee and not done this. How do you know this dancer would have danced for your company for 20 years? Maybe they had contracts out to say that much. I don't know. But right now he's saying that because of those ones that he lost the contract to, over 20 years, it would lose that much. And I don't know if there were royalties coming in that he figured from work that was done that would be restreamed. I don't know. Then it says Plaintiff 7M Films has calculated from the year 2022 to 2042, it will lose approximately $3,984,474 due to the diminished earning capacity for dancers who have stayed with 7M Films. Wow. Why is that? Are they not getting the gigs that they were? So see, this is where when he initially asked for $1 million, he was being nice, generous. Now we're looking at some big numbers because he's saying your mouth cost me this much. Oh, and then we go on. Plaintiff 7M Films has calculated from the year 2022 to 2042, it will lose a total of $8,709,115 as a result of defendants' false and defamatory statements about myself, 7M Films Incorporated, Miranda Derrick, James Derrick, and other dancers with our management company. Whoa. So we are looking at almost, well, let's keep going. There's some big numbers here. I would be scared if I was Katie Joy, but the Ice Queen doesn't ever look like anything scares her. Prior to defendants' false and defamatory statements, Plaintiff 7M Films Incorporated had numerous contracts with multiple organizations and their business was growing monthly. Plaintiff 7M Films Incorporated sales for 2021 exceeded $1 million. From February to December of 2021, Plaintiff Miranda Derrick brought in over $150,000 in sales with 7M Films. From January to December of 2021, Plaintiff James Derrick brought in over $350,000 in sales with 7M Films Incorporated. Defendants were aware of 7M Films Incorporated contracts with third parties and made several social media posts encouraging their followers to interfere with those contracts. Okay, so what he's saying here is that Katie Joy knew about the contracts with third parties and made social media posts encouraging their followers to interfere with those contracts. That's really bold of Katie Joy to do. We know she does it. She's just never been called out for it. Not like this. From January to December of 2021, Plaintiff James Derrick brought in over $350,000 in sales of 7M. Okay. Defendants' false and defamatory statements resulted in multiple organizations canceling their contract with Plaintiff 7M Films. Attached as Exhibit B is a true and correct copy of email correspondence with two organizations which have canceled their partnerships with Miranda Derrick as a result of defendants' false and defamatory statements. Defendants have solicited companies to remove posts involving 7M Films Incorporated and their dancers. Attached as Exhibit C are two posts made by defendants boasting about their interference with 7M Films Incorporated business relationships. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have resulted in several organizations we have partnered with issuing statements that they are in no way affiliated with our company or our dancers. Okay, so now we get over here, and the next page is more of the LexisNexis. And so it would be something that, the judge would be reviewing as they're looking at this, as this motion, and why it is in there and why it is relevant. And like I said, we might go through that and kind of see what these cases are, if we feel that they will be valuable or not. And we go here, just so you can see, 10 of 13, 10 of blah, 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 because it's just all of this LexisNexis paperwork. 10, 11. Now, I looked at that the LexisNexis stuff briefly, and something of important note I feel at this point is that while they're talking about this case with Mr. Sajady, Sajady, It says, in evaluating Mr. Sajadi's claim for a temporary injunction, the court must consider the familiar Dahlberg factors. Now remember, we've heard Amber cite Dahlberg, and then Katie Joy's attorney will retort that Dahlberg isn't appropriate, etc., etc. So we look in here, we see that this case that they're citing has Dahlberg. And so that's where I think that we will look at it. But the most important thing I saw in here that I wanted to note is where it really cites here that this court case that they are talking about in its relative harm reminds the judge that it has been established that freedom of speech has limitations, and to note that free speech is not unlimited and that restrictions have been placed on this right, and that freedom of speech needs to note that there is speech that constitutes defamatory, and that's where we will look into the case and see if it's appropriate or not. I think it'll be important. Then we go over here, and the next item is the affidavit of Miranda Derrick. Now remember, what I have is everything available to the public. There could be things that are still out there, but are covered under the essentially restraining order, protective order, so that Katie Joy cannot disseminate things. So although I think that I've got everything, remember, there's more. And if and when it goes to trial, and however that comes about, perhaps those documents will be made public, or they never will be. We don't know. So if we go over here to the affidavit of Miranda Derrick, we have that the defendant is Katie Joy, Catherine Mansky Paulson, aka Katie Joy, and without a crystal ball. That's what she calls her page, okay? So we got Katie Joy versus the plaintiffs, 7M Films Incorporated, Robert Shin, Miranda Derrick, and James Derrick. So this is the affidavit of Miranda Derrick. She has here, in the state of California, County of Los Angeles, that the undersigned, being first duly sworn, deposes and states as follows: that your affiant is one of the plaintiffs in the above entitled matter. That your affiant makes this affidavit for the purposes of setting forth default judgment against defendants. That I am a professional dancer, model, choreographer, singer, and social media content creator. I am legally married to James Derrick, who is also one of the plaintiffs in the above entitled action. I have never lied about the existence of my marriage to plaintiff James Derrick. Okay, now that's important because Katie Joy says that something different is going on. The statements made by defendants as outlined in the complaint as they relate to myself and my family are categorically false. Now, she goes on to state, I have not been kidnapped by plaintiff 7M Films. I was not lured into a cult by plaintiff 7M Films. I was not brainwashed by plaintiff 7M Films to think that my family was abusive. I began a professional relationship with 7M Films in February 2021. 7M Films is still my talent management company. When I began working with 7M Films, I had approximately 105,000 followers on Instagram and 680 followers on TikTok. Okay. From February 2021 to July of 2021, my Instagram followers increased to 153,000, and my TikTok followers increased to 104,400. By March of 2022, just before defendants began posting about plaintiffs in this case, my Instagram followers had increased to 1,200,000, and my TikTok followers increased to 721,200. Since March of 2022, following the statements and posts made by defendants, my Instagram following has remained roughly the same at 1,300,000, and my TikTok following has only increased to 952,400. In the 5-month period from November 2021 to March 2022, my gross income was $96,268. In the 5-month period from April 2022 to August 2022, my gross income was $90,069. Attached as Exhibit A is a table of my estimated pecuniary losses from the current date to the year 2042 as a result of defendants' defamatory campaign against myself, my family, and my management company. I have estimated that from the year 2022 to 2042, I will lose approximately $10,791,608 as a result of the defendants' false and defamatory statements. Whoa! Defendants' false and defamatory statements have caused me to lose multiple contracts and long-term partnerships. Attached as Exhibit B is an example of a partnership which was canceled due to the defendants' false and defamatory statements. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have caused organizations, including Bang, Chatbooks, and Do Fasting, to breach their agreements work with me. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have caused companies to take down social media posts I was involved with and make public statements that they are not affiliated with myself or my management company. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have caused me to be harassed by media organizations and other individuals attempting to gain information about and save me from a fictitious cult. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have caused me to suffer severe emotional distress. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have made me feel vilified in the public. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have made me feel personally under attack. Defendants' false and defamatory statements have caused myself and my family to have been threatened and harassed by third parties. I declare under penalty of perjury that everything I have stated in this document is true and correct under Minnesota Statute 358.116. And that was signed by Miranda Derrick. Now we go over here and we have this table of income. And it shows how they were able to calculate and get that $10 million number. All of this chaos follows Katie Joy. Is it right that her family has been threatened and harassed? Is it right that her lies have cost and will cost millions and millions of dollars to people? Well, she sits there on her pompous ass and does this? Is this right? I don't think it's right. Now, Duggar. Because this is somehow filed in this on that same thing. So I don't know why it's there. but it is. So there might be other things that I cannot see. But these were filed with it. So it's Duggar and Chris Chrisley content. So let's see what they have here to say. And why they're here, I don't know. But they are. So she has here, this is what Katie Joy does. So she takes something out of the court thing and then does this content. Right around this time is when that protective order was granted. So I can assume that Amber had put together a package and said, we're saying this much and we can't let this go, this part go, because this is what she does. She goes in and finds this from other cases, and then she makes content out of it, which makes her a lot of money because of it, and harms the reputation, harms families. And this is what she's going to do. So if she finds out this information about Miranda's family, about Robert Shinn's family, about his medical records, about his past, etc., this is what she's going to do. So I'm assuming that these are examples of what she does, and that this just isn't gelling right with how I can explain it, because pieces of it are put behind that protective order. So in that vein, I'm going to just show you everything that was filed that day. So we go here, and it's showing this post of Katie Joy. And this post of Katie Joy was April 19th, so that would probably be back there in that 2022 time period, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, that would have been 2022. So she shows this here. It says, Josh Duggar's evidence against Caleb Williams. The court, what is your evidence that he's present between May 13th and May 16th? Mr. Gelfand says, Your Honor, as a practical matter, we have circumstantial evidence that he comes from Illinois to Arkansas towards the end of the week before, and he says he's going to, quote, watch the lot. The court says that's not good enough to place him on the lot. Okay. Now we go over here to what Katie Joy is saying about this, that she found in this deposition. And she says, because she does the tea, she says, hey guys, Anna Duggar says that there's more to the story. She seemingly believes that Caleb Williams is the shady ex-con that set Josh up. From an in-chamber meeting with the judge about emails Caleb sent to the U.S. government, Josh's attorneys reveal their evidence against Caleb. The court, what is your evidence that he's present between May 13th and May 16th? Your Honor, as a practical matter, we have circumstantial evidence that he comes from Illinois to Arkansas. And then we can't see what that says. Okay. So once again, she gets bored. She's thinking that she might have to actually be a mom or be a wife, or somebody's going to ask her a question about why she's doing this to people. She's got to Duggar it. So then we have over here where she put, he was homeschooled by his parents, Jim Bob and Michelle. So what are you going to learn about Josh Duggar over the course of this trial? Josh is a great guy. He's a father of 7. He's got a very close and large family. But you're going to learn that when it comes to formal education, computer sophistication, he was homeschooled by his parents, Jim Bob Duggar and Michelle. At 16 years old, he earned his GED and never received any additional formal education. He's done well for himself. He opened a used car lot. He sold cars. But, members of the jury, here's the important thing. There's no evidence on earth that Josh knew what these command codes were, because he didn't. That's important because, remember, we are trying to follow the computer forensic trial. And that's what we're going to do over the course of this trial. Okay. So she thinks that out of that, he was homeschooled by his parents, Jim Bob and Michelle. Okay? We all watched the show 17 and Counting. Pretty much we all gleaned that, yeah. So then her tea to this is like, hi guys. Josh Duggar's homeschool education was slammed by his attorney during his opening statements at trial. He also called Josh a great guy. Gelfand wants the jury to believe that due to Josh's education, that he wasn't intelligent enough to install a partition or use complicated computer software. And then she does like this emoji and like a smiley face emoji and someone else. Then it says the ATI curriculum is terrible. However, to imply that someone cannot possibly be smart because of no formal education is flat out wrong. Plenty of people are geniuses and they don't even graduate high school. Okay? It's kind of not where that was going. I mean, from what I know about that detail is that Josh kept everything behind a calculator app. So while it looked like there was just a calculator on his phone, it was actually the files, in that he had essentially 2 different computers running in his computer. You know, if he is smart and can learn things by hands-on, yeah. I don't see that trying to say otherwise is going to be helpful, because he clearly did it. His wife and him had the accountability where his wife was looking through his phone and computer on a regular basis, and they had that, and she would see that, you know, he wasn't hiding anything and whatnot. But he was. And that deception in there is what I feel is important. So I don't know, you know. But why does she care? Why is that? Anyway. All right. And then we have that here. Let's see, what did I put? Is this one first or is that? I think maybe this one would be first, but I don't. Okay, so we've got April 24th here, and then we've got May 11th. So April 24th would be this first one. Okay. So she puts in a piece of a deposition or whatnot. And it says here, after communicating that way, I ended up, he said he had his tape that he had obtained through iCloud or something, and for me, that he thought it would be very beneficial to our case, by Ms. Wade. Did you, I don't remember seeing a message like that produced to us. Do you still have that message? I don't. I would have to go back and get it. I get literally, Ms. Wade, thousands and thousands of messages a day. So I would have to go back. It was from a fake account. We knew that because they had no followers. So I would have to go through, I guess I'd literally have to go through tens of thousands of messages to try to find that. As of March 7, 2017, certain of your property was being stored at a warehouse in Duluth, Georgia, right? Yes, ma'am. Whose all property was being stored? That was property, that was furniture. I mean, that's all I knew that was there was furniture that had been used in filming in the beginning of the show from 2002. And, okay, so we stopped there. Her commentary to what this is, oh, this isn't Duggar. This is Chrisley. When we go to that, okay. So it says, in a lawsuit filed against Todd Chrisley for defamation of a Georgia Department of Revenue employee, Todd sat for a deposition. The deposition was taken on February 14, 2022. Todd filed the deposition as an exhibit in a motion to dismiss. This case is public record and can be found on PACER under Doherty Hines versus Chrisley. During the deposition, Todd was asked about individuals he spoke to as he tried to collect information on the GDOR employee. He claimed he spoke to someone that was her husband or ex-husband. Okay. So maybe this is just an example of what she does there. Nonetheless, it was filed, so I think it's important to show. And then there's something more about the Duggars. Let's see here. So we have this here. I'm not sure who the author of this. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see what it says over here. It says, so her comment is that Anna Duggar and Michelle Duggar begged the court for leniency. They went on and on about what an amazing man he is to everyone. They, along with a couple of neighbors, David Waller, Michael Keller, and LeCount Reber, all wrote letters to the court begging for a reduced sentence. Josh's attorneys claim that he really should only serve 51 months, but 60 months is the minimum, so they will take that. They deny that he distributed CSAM, the number of images, and claim that there was no, I don't know if I can say that word on here. It's kind of like rapture, but it's with a T. I'll show you this word. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube without getting in trouble. So it's that word right there with the T. And then it says in their 32-page filing, they did nothing to, okay. So this is part of a letter here. So it says, Anna and Michelle beg for leniency. So this is Anna's letter here, as it says. I am writing regarding my husband, Joshua Duggar, who will come before you for sentencing. As his spouse of more than 13 years, thank you for taking the time to allow me to share about the man I know and love. Joshua and I met nearly 16 years ago. As our friendship grew over the next 2 years, I saw what I know to be even more true today, that Joshua is considerate, respectful, quick to forgive, patient, and genuinely the kindest person I know. We were happily married on September 26, 2008. During our first few years of marriage, Joshua and I enjoyed working together at our used car lot in Springdale. There, I admired my husband's diligence in his work and also his perspective that people are more than a quick sale. Joshua would often spend hours out of his day chatting with and listening to various homeless people who would pass by on the sidewalk. And many of our customers also became our friends. It didn't matter who you were or where you came from. Joshua cared for each person because they are created in the image of God, and that is what determines their value, not social status. Joshua has worked hard to provide for me and our now 7 children. But the happiest part of the day, by far, is when Daddy comes home from work and his cheerful voice fills the house. Hey guys, how's it going? What did you learn about in school today? Are usually conversation starters between greeting each of our children. Joshua is an engaged dad who gladly throws a football with his sons, listens to our daughters play a new song they have learned on the piano, helps answer homework questions, or lends a hand sweeping up spilled crackers. He is a kind, loving, and supportive and caring father and husband, his primary focus in life. My children and I rely on Joshua for financial, emotional, and physical support. Many others depend on Joshua too. Joshua is a man who frequently volunteers his time, services, and resources, striving to contribute to our community and people in need. 4 years ago, one of our good friends, Clark Wilson, passed away from cancer at the age of 57. Joshua took it upon himself to financially support his widow Denise and the children they still have living at home. For the past 4 years, Joshua has quietly and faithfully made significant financial contributions to meet their needs. This was not because we have excess income, but because Joshua has a compassionate heart and he is willing to make personal sacrifices for the benefit of others. Okay. So, she's taking this apart where the family is writing to the judge about the other faces and roles of Josh Duggar. There is something deviant about him, yes. But within each person are different people. And we can see that while he does this, the one part of him overshadows everything else. That man should not be around children alone, in my opinion. But what does Katie Joy need to be doing further shaming him? She's all about shame. I'm sure that there's enough shame for Josh Duggar going on. Why is she contributing to that shame and having her minions go and make sure that they're out spreading all of this and everything else? Why does it matter to her that that's happening? Why does she have this consistent pattern of behavior of shaming? Does she hold so much shame that she wants to be sure that all of the shame is spread around? Would we be a better society if Katie Joy went and worked on her own issues, dealing with shame and aggression towards women, children, people that are happy, dancers, performers, artists, anybody with a smile, anybody exuding happiness? Does Katie Joy want everybody else to be as miserable as her? Oh, what a miserable world that would be. And once again, you show that money can't buy happiness, because Katie Joy's got a lot of money. She's made a lot of money on her lies. But she's not happy. She's miserable. I'm sure her little boy would rather have his mom be happy and live in a mud hut with her and his dad on a beach somewhere where they could be happy and collect seashells. The money that she's padding up for herself isn't for anything other than for her to show that she can do whatever she wants. And it's important to note her behavior as such and wonder why she's in everybody else's business. Is she so perfect that we're just supposed to all learn from her? Is that what she's doing? I don't know. You decide. And that, my friends, will conclude part 19 of my narrated series with my mini balls. Thank you for listening, and I will see you again in episode 20, and I will go snuggle up with Voody. And good night to you all. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.